Dollard. Live from Waterford and the Virgin Media Broadband Studio in Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. The Minister for Health says they'll make an allocation of €4.8 million to staff the South East Palliative Care Centre in Waterford. Management at UHW say the emergency department's currently experiencing significant overcrowding. A number of weather warnings will take effect tomorrow as the impact of the Hurricane Lorenzo is felt across the country. And in sport, Waterford Club football semi-finals go ahead this weekend. The Minister for Health says they'll make an allocation of €4.8 million to staff the South East Palliative Care Centre in Waterford. Simon Harris was responding to questions from Waterford Sinn Féin TD David Culnan, who's welcomed the announcement, but at the same time says we need to be sure that the funds will be enough to open the centre as a matter of urgency.
There is a lot of concern. I think people are scandalised, to be honest, in the South East that this building is built, it's fully equipped, it's ready to be open, and yet it hasn't received the revenue funding. We're meeting with the officials and they're telling us locally that even when they get the funding and they still haven't been given any allocation, they have to recruit the staff. So we could be talking about a year or more before that unit becomes operational. So can I ask, first of all, how much will it cost to fully staff the palliative care unit? Why wasn't that funding given much earlier, knowing that this was going to be completed in the summer of this year, fully equipped, ready to be open, and yet it could be lying idle there, sitting there for months, if not a year or more, when patients in the South East deserve the same palliative care options that people in other parts of the country have.
The Minister says he'll be meeting with Waterford Oireachtas members tomorrow to discuss the issue.
That there is an allocation of 300,000 for this year for this hospital and a number. The question that the people in Waterford and the South East are asking is we can't open it now unless we have the certainty that the 4.8 is the figure I've been given, 4.8 million will be in place for 2020. I'm very hopeful that we can resolve this matter together this week. I'd like to see the matter resolved together this week so that there can be certainty. I also understand, and I don't want to get involved in the minutiae of this because it's not my place to do so. You're quite right, there will be a time lag. You authorise funding, people will have to go out and recruit the appropriate staff and be ready to provide the services. We have funding to begin that process now, 300,000 for this year. My job is to make sure we absolutely have the funding for 2020 so they can proceed with certainty, and I think we can try and resolve that together this week.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Management at University Hospital Waterford say the emergency department's currently experiencing significant overcrowding. The INMO yesterday said the number of patients on trolleys at University Hospital Waterford during September reached record levels. The figure of 707 was 172% higher than September of last year. A spokesperson for UHW said over recent months presentations to the department have increased and these patients have a variety of complex needs. Staff and management are working with the South-South-West Hospital Group on a range of contingencies to alleviate the current situation. These include, where appropriate, prioritising the discharge of patients from wards. They've apologised for any inconvenience caused, but say they're working to improve the current situation. A number of weather warnings will take effect tomorrow as the impact of the Hurricane Lorenzo is felt across the country. By the time it reaches Ireland, it'll be downgraded to a powerful storm. Waterford City and County Council says at present there's a yellow warning in place for Waterford from 9 a.m. tomorrow to 6 a.m. on Friday. They have arrangements in place to close the promenade in Tramore and have brought large sandbags down and put them in place near vulnerable premises. Their teams are on standby in the event of a status update. The National Emergency Coordination Group has been meeting this morning to discuss measures that may need to be taken to minimise the storm's impact. Housing Minister Owen Murphy says the storm will affect the country in different ways.
Some areas the risk might be from being too close to the coast. In other areas it might be a risk of localised flooding or perhaps very strong winds leading to power outages. So people will really need to just keep an eye on what's being said by Met Éireann over the course of today and tomorrow, and then keep an eye on those localised alerts they'll be getting either online or from social media or from the national media.
Boris Johnson has told the Tory party conference that under no circumstances will there be checks at or near the border with Northern Ireland, but his address was light on the detail of what his Brexit plan contains. Mr Johnson is due to deliver his proposals to the EU after a phone call with European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker this afternoon. The government here says any plan, including customs checks on the border, won't work, but Mr Johnson says that doesn't form part of his proposals, despite leaked reports.
We will, under no circumstances, have checks at or near the border in Northern Ireland. We will respect the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement.
There have been no incidents at Waterford Council's homeless hub since the centre opened. The office on Parnell Street in the city was the subject of some controversy earlier this year because of its location. The centre is for people presenting as homeless or who are looking for support from the council. Councillor Adam Wise says there was a lot of concern about the location at the time.
It's just interesting. There's always a big hullabaloo about a lot of different issues at the time. The homeless hub centre on Parnell Street, there was a lot of concern over that being placed in that area. I'd be interested to know, Ivan, if you know yourself, was there a single incident since it's been opened in that location resolving around people using the centre or people in the school that is close by as well? Thank you.
Housing Director Ivan Grimes says the centre has been working well so far.
There haven't been any incidents that I'm aware of, and they would have been brought to my attention. The centre is working extremely well, and I think both the clients, the people who are presenting looking for homeless services or supports, have been very happy with the facility as well.
The Justice Minister says nobody is forced into direct provision and that entering the system is voluntary. Charlie Flanagan's department has been criticised for its handling of plans for a direct provision centre in Uachtarard in Galway. The developer walked away from the plans to repurpose a hotel in the town yesterday following weeks of protests by residents. Minister Flanagan admits direct provision isn't perfect, but people can leave whenever they want.
I hear politicians talk about the dire circumstances of people in direct provision centres. Of course I say it's not perfect. I've visited a number of centres. I don't believe that the circumstances are dire. It's an offer. In fact, I point to the fact that there are 1,000 people currently in direct provision who have been granted status in the country and who can leave, and they're opting not to leave.
Waterford Council is in talks to acquire a site in Dungarvan which was earmarked for the decentralisation of public services. It was announced in 2003 that Ordnance Survey Ireland would be moving to the West Waterford town. A 3-acre site at Fairline between Kearns and Liddle was bought by the OPW for €2.1 million. However, plans were put on hold in 2008 and the decentralisation programme was cancelled in 2011. The site in Dungarvan remains vacant and the local authority has confirmed that it's in negotiation with the OPW regarding acquisition terms and that no date for transfer has been agreed yet. Waterford City Fire Service are dealing with a large oil spillage at the moment. It runs from Ballygunner School to the Williamstown Road onto the Farran-Shaneen roundabout, back in the Inner Ring Road as far as Tesco. Motorists are advised to take their time as the substantial area affected may be slippy.
WLR Sport.
Rathgormack are back in their first County Senior Football Championship semi-final since 2005. That's on Sunday evening next. The Commerce side take on Stradbally at 5:30 in the opening last four clash in Farrfield. Ger Parr's charges edged out Gaultier in the last 8. Rathgormack are captained by county star Michael Curry. He says getting past the quarter-final stage was a big boost for them.
Yeah, that was our goal at the start of the year, try and get automatic qualification. There's something we didn't do with the last number of years, and we're probably up again and draw. Instead, Gaultier, yeah, they fancied their chances against us. Like, we played them last year and there's only the last 5 minutes I think we pulled away.
That'll be followed by a repeat of last year's semi-final between Ballynacorty and defending champions the Nair at 7 p.m. Tomas McCarthy will have updates here on WLR. Waterford's new hurling manager will be facing his native county in their first Munster Senior Hurling Championship game. According to the provisional schedule, it's Tip up first in round 1. Round 2, it's Limerick away, followed by Cork at home, a bye in the 4th round and away to Clare in the 5th round. This year, a break weekend was introduced after Waterford suffered as a result of having to play play 4 successive weekends. Liam Cahill, who was ratified as manager on Monday night, is hoping to name his panel of players soon.
When we draw up our initial panels, I'm actually going to meet these players individually, one-to-one, and just see where their mindset is at, and most of all to see where their belly and their stomach is at for what's going to lie down the tracks to make sure that we are competitive as we can be for 2020.
Waterford FC can guarantee themselves Premier League football on Friday night if they get a positive result away to St Patrick's Athletic. Joe Gamble, the Blues' first-team coach, says a win would set up an enjoyable conclusion to the season.
I think we need to get a result just to kind of make sure we are in Premier Division next year. And we have got some good games coming up, and Scotland should be a nice trip away really as well, something to look forward to. But as you said, look, a good positive result Friday, and that would guarantee us Premier Division status next year, and we can kind of enjoy the last few games.
WLR will broadcast that game thanks to Clem Jacob Hire with the commentary team Ray Scott and Matt Keane. Our coverage gets underway at 7:30. Manchester City midfielder Bernardo Silva has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association over a tweet he sent to teammate Benjamin Mendy. He compared a picture of the fullback with an image of the mascot of a Spanish chocolate company before deleting it. Silva has until next week to appeal. And Cardiff will appeal the decision ordering them to pay the first instalment of Emiliano Sala's transfer fee. The Championship team were told by FIFA on Monday they had to give French side Nantes an initial £5.3 million, but they'll contest that ruling at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Sala died in a plane crash in January while travelling to join his new team. Tottenham boss Mauricio Pochettino says it's important they calmly analyse what went wrong in last night's 7-2 thrashing by Bayern Munich. It leaves last season's runners-up with just 1 point from their first 2 Champions League group games. And holders Liverpool look to bounce back from defeat to Napoli when they take on FC Salzburg at Anfield this evening. Chelsea are in France to play Lille after they also lost their opening group match. In rugby, France have avoided a slip-up against the USA at the World Cup in Japan. They've beaten the Americans 33-9 to join England on 2 wins from as many matches in Pool C. That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin